morning, everyone. I am so delighted that all of you are on this Zoom presentation this morning. Welcome to this presentation. Now, our next guest is Dr. Ken O'Brien. Dr. Ken has 40 years experience in research and practical application of our genetic, neurological, and psychological and social factors, specifically related to driving the intergenerational transmission of PTSD, post-traumatic stress disorder. He is a fourth generation in his family to serve in the military. He has volunteered with emergency services over the last 30 years. He has extensive qualifications in mental health. Ken is a board-registered, accredited mental health social worker, a registered behavioral therapist, and registered workplace assessor. He has been using the products for more than 4 years, and it has fueled his health, his life. He currently runs his own private practice part-time, and he enjoys grueling mountain hikes, triathlons, running his dog, and being chased by his wife and his kids. Ken, thank you so much for being on here. We really appreciate it.
You're very welcome. Thank you very much for inviting me. This is a great opportunity. Thank you.
So I have worked closely with Ken for the last couple of years, and when he was initially introduced to the science of NRF2, he was a bit skeptical. So can you share with us what you have found in the science, in the literature? Where did you search? What did you find? And what sparked your interest specifically in Protandim NRF2?
Oh, wow. Gee, you've asked a really big question that we don't have all day to answer. But I've been, look, and thank you to Dr. Neil Goodman for that very comprehensive and accurate overview of exactly, he's pretty much articulated what I was going to say, but in much better words. He's got a bit more experience in that area. As I said, I'm the son of a Vietnam veteran. I've been in the military myself, and I have direct experience of the transgenerational impacts of dioxin exposure. And that's what I was already in the mental health field as a student, but that's kind of what led me into the genetics, and more accurately, the epigenetics of our cells, of our body, and how genes can be turned on or off with events or inputs and things that we do to ourselves in our life. And I was looking at in the mental health field, I'm sort of looking around at the perhaps the causative effects or factors that contribute to the intergenerational effects of autism, Asperger's, and found that they were genetically linked to post-traumatic stress. And I'm thinking, where's the link? How does it happen? How does that link happen? And a lot of it's got to do with the activation or inactivation of our cells and the accumulation of that, as Dr. Neil said, the exposome, and how that accumulation of toxicity impacts on our cells over time, and it degrades the validity and integrity of the cell and the information within the cell and then within the mitochondria and the RNA. And so I got right into that, and the detail was so. Here's the irony: the detail was straightforward, and it made so much sense. And yeah, it's all about activation, or I like to think reactivation, because we weren't born. Well, some of it, yeah, we can be born with unhealthy cells, but this gives us the opportunity to use the stem cell sides of things to actually get back to the purest form that we can get. I think it's just an amazing science. And in my practice, I work a lot with, as I say, the people who have those inherited qualities and they can't explain it, and their medical can't explain it, and 40 or 50 years of in and out of therapy, and they're saying, I can't fix myself. And you go, here's an explanation now. And they go, oh, wow, that's made sense. 40 minutes listening to you in a conference or a session, and it makes sense to me now. And I'm going, yeah, but that's not all. Here's something you can do with. You can actually do something about that now. So along the lines of using the focused psychological therapies and things like that, but I also say, but here is a reactivation system. It's not just a product, it's a system. Now, if that's not exciting to you, then I don't know what is.
That is a mind-blowing explanation. And I love that you mentioned that there's so many environmental factors that impact on that. And the NRF2, NRF1, NAD system is really going to give you the power back so that you can take control of your health and you can unlock the best in your cells.
I did. I'm living proof of that.
I know you are. So if you look at activation and other treatments on the market, so let's say chemical treatments, natural treatments like supplements, how is activation different in your experience, in what you've seen, also in taking into consideration what you've seen in the literature?
All right. Well, extensive research across PhDs, masters, honors degrees, and things like that have shown me that there isn't a lot of literature on it. This is a burgeoning area. This is a growth area. There's been a lot. There's a paucity of literature out there. It's almost a neglected area. The I'm just sorry. I think we've got to go back to the old the wives' tales and what they used to call witches, but that's the natural therapy. And these people, they knew about these things. They just didn't have the scientific laboratories to back that up. But what I found is that I was convinced by the medicalization of it. I was convinced that we've got to have a drug to cure that, but drugs don't cure it. They mask it. They mask the symptoms. What we found is that by using the activation system, it sent very specific signaling signaling hormones and signaling alleles. Those who are medically minded in the audience will understand those, but it's all about the precursors to epigenetics. It's about the components of signaling to the gene and to the mitochondrial RNA that gets right into the mitochondria itself and starts turning on various aspects of the coding and the sequences that build DNA, that build RNA, that build our cells. There's particular alleles that are like an auditing, and they go to specific cells and they make sure the sequences is right. Your GATs and Cs, all your little amino acids that line up. You've seen the bars, and it's sort of everybody's seen how those amino acids line up. But the G's and the A's and the T's and the C's are always supposed to be in a particular sequence, and it's like ingredients. And if that sequence is out of order, then your product, or let's say you're making a cake, your cake doesn't look good. It sags or it just falls apart or whatever. It doesn't taste good. The same sort of thing happens with our DNA. If those are out of sequence, it doesn't do what it's meant to do. And so these little alleles, and one in particular, that its job is to go around and do the audit and say, right, you're in order. Fantastic, that's great. Or you're not in order. Okay, I can't fix you, but I've got to go and send away to the blueprint warehouse and say, righto, let's get that and fix it up. How do we do that? But that takes time. That can take up to 7 years in some cases. They can actually have time to reverse that exposome damage and those environmental events that cause those. So once I got right into it, when I met you and Charlotte at a conference in Rockhampton for something related to gut biome, I've just been switched on, and it has really, I've done deep dive into the research of this. And the thing is that I'm a practical bloke, cattle industry, military background. I like to see things that work. It's not all about academic theories. I want to make sure it works. And everything that I've done in this deep dive reinforces that it does work. The mechanics are simplistic. We don't have to complicate it. And that's what I've found in my deep dive in the literature and the research.
Wow, speechless. That means we all need to be activated. Because there is the credible science. I know, Ken, that you have been working with epigenetics even before epigenetics was a thing. You have done the science and the research for the last 40 years, and you've been on the research end of really what is happening in the genome. So if you are talking to people, the everyday person, what do you think will be the benefit of getting activated, and why do we all need to get activated?
When you say the benefit of getting activated, that's a capital T and a capital B. Your life, to release your full potential, releasing the energy that's locked up in the mitochondria to get full optimization of every organ within your body and on the outside of your bodies too. So I'm just reading a comment from Dr. Neil Goodman, and that's absolutely correct. And it's all getting down to those, the NRF1s and the NRF2s. So the benefit to the people who are on this is that they are living their best. And when I say living, it's just not, you just don't go from day to day. It's actually, life is about experiencing every wide possibility of experience you can and accumulating that. You can't get out and mountain climb if your legs and your back and your heart and body won't do it. But you get on the reactivation system and you find, and you will do it. It's not about making something converting something that wasn't there in the first place. This is about, like supplementation does, this is about reactivating the very cells itself to do what they're meant to do. So the benefit, the capital TB benefit, is about not just being healthy, but being sufficiently fulfilled and saying that I am living at my best capacity right now. That doesn't happen with supplementation.
That is so good. That is so good. I absolutely love it. Thank you so much, Dr. Keen. Thank you for coming on, sharing your experience of 40 years with us. Really appreciate it, and have a lovely day.